Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate forum, which you should definitely join. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by Spurs Chemo, Paul, Flatzoid, and 10th Man in the Google Plus Hangouts. How are you all doing?
Hello, good afternoon.
Good.
Good afternoon. How are you, Nathan?
Very
no
well.
one ever asks you how you are, you know.
I'm very well, thank you for asking. We're also joined by, just move my mic because the icons are so small. Bandsaw Bandit, Brenda, Dougie, Earth-shaped investigator. How are you all doing in Discord?
Good day, Nathan. How we going, mate?
Very well.
Right, well, before you kind of get into your housekeeping, I have a sign for gravity. Because, you know, I hear from flat earthers and ball earthers use the same argument about atmospheric pressure. Now, when I hear the word pressure, I have to assume or imagine a force behind that pressure. Now, I understand we live in some type of gassy substance, if we can call it that, but we apply the word pressure to the word gas pressure. Now, as I understand sorry?
I didn't say anything.
Okay, so as I understand, the pressure side is man-made. So gas pressure in a container is man-made. We do not see gas pressure, or we may do, we're trying to find out, in nature, pressure. We see gas in nature, but do we see that pressure? So the point I'm trying to illustrate is that if flat earthers are calling gas pressure, that we live in a gas pressure, then what is that pressure? That would be a sign for gravity or some type of force, because you can't have pressure without a force, as we know. So the idea of a gradient, a pressure gradient, again, how are we measuring this pressure gradient? How do you know there is a gradient? The key for me, Nathan, if we're going with the sign is, if there is atmospheric pressure, then there is a force. Now, I submit that there is no atmospheric pressure. Pressure.
Hold on.
Sorry?
That's a logical fallacy. So what you're saying is, if we experience gas pressure in the heliocentric world without anything to press upon, then there must be a force holding it here. Well, no.
I'm not saying. I'm saying that if flat earthers are saying that you can't have gas pressure, if they use the word pressure, then I want to know where does that pressure come from? Where does that force come from?
Oh, well, I'll tell you. It's the force exerted on the walls of the container. That's why.
No.
Spurs.
Again. No, I have to stop you there.
I haven't finished speaking.
A container is made by man, where the pressure is pressed off those walls. Now, in nature, where do we see gases being pressure off any walls? So why are we using the words pressure in our arguments. This is the same argument as the ball earthers, where they have a force. Now you're saying that you have a force off a wall, and in my understanding, in where we live in nature, there is no pressure, gas pressure. And even if it was a dome or wall, or it doesn't matter, we can presuppose, it doesn't mean to say that the particles, if there are particles as you describe them, are even bouncing off anything. You see, this is, I've had a long think about
Spurs. If they're not bouncing off anything,
Yeah.
what are they doing? They're just carrying on in the same
don't
direction.
Ask me what they're doing. Well, we can get into it. You can ask me. But
no, I know. I do know, Spurs. I know the answer.
Well, go on then. What's the answer?
Well, they're trying to expand in all directions. Gas has no bonds. It's moving.
Okay, so where's the pressure?
Spurs, I need more than 4 words, mate.
Go on.
You don't need to give me permission. You just need to shut up when I'm talking. So, gas is trying to expand in all directions. The quantification description of pressure is the force exerted on the walls of a container, and you can measure it with PSI. The I bit being the square inch of the container. So without the container, there's no I in PSI.
You done? You finished?
Well, yeah, that's the end of the argument. You're saying, well, where do we get this force from? Where do we get this? Where do we get this?
So you're saying to me that we live in a pressure of 14.7, whatever number you want to describe to it. But if you're going to say to me that you feel pressure, then you may as well say you feel gravity. You're feeling a force that cannot be measured.
Yeah, it can. Yeah, it can. In PSI. In PSI. Or however else you want to measure it. Pascals.
How is man doing that?
Why is it that when I talk, Spurs carries on talking? What's going on, Spurs? Yeah, should I repeat what I just said with you talking all over it? It can be measured. You are wrong. There are many different measurements. PSI, Pascals being just a couple. Yes, you can measure it.
Okay, well demonstrate to me now then how you're measuring the pressure.
Are you having a laugh? You're denying that.
Pressure,
sorry, Spurs. What you're asking me to do, is demonstrate that pressure is a measurement. Sorry, does anybody deny this? Other than you right now?
I deny the pressure. I'm denying that you are measuring.
Okay, no worries. Go in peace. Deny pressure. That makes you foolish.
Well, hold on a second. You should be able to demonstrate to me this pressure.
We filled up a tire, Spurs.
Yeah, that's man-made, a man-made container. No, I'm talking about in nature.
So what?
Show me the pressure.
Can I?
It's a necessary antecedent. Without the container, there is no pressure. It's as simple as that, Spurs.
Let me think about this for a minute because it's going to get heated. Think about what you're saying. If you're telling me in nature, outside, there is a pressure, I want to know how you're measuring that. Not man telling me about a container, a box, where they insert the air themselves and then they measure that pressure inside the container.
Spurs.
Doesn't make
you
any
just
sense,
be quiet for a minute. What is PSI, Spurs? To you, what's PSI?
It means nothing in the real world.
Right,
in the real world, it means nothing.
Okay, in your Narnia world, what is PSI?
No, in your Narnia world, what is PSI?
See, you won't even have a dialogue. So what's
I don't have a PSI in my real in nature where I live.
The whole
it's
world?
A manner to quantify pressure in all directions. That's
in my nature, 10th man. There is no. I don't feel any. Do you feel spin? Do you feel pressure? Do you feel curve? None of those things.
I feel pressure.
Yes,
I don't feel any pressure in nature.
Yes, you won't shut up. Yes, you can detect it in your ears when you go up and down a hill. There you go.
No, that's not. That's nothing to do with pressure. That's to do with.
It's everything
pressure.
to do with pressure. You're
health.
just being a pressure denier. I don't understand it, Spurs. This is silly.
Because I'm explaining it to you now. I'm saying to you that when you go up a hill or up a mountain, depending on your blood pressure, depending on your health conditions, pilots who train not to have their ears popped do not have their ears popped because they are in good health. Now, some blobber who sits online all day and then goes on a plane and says, oh, my ears are popping because he's in bad condition, thinks it's because his altitude or pressure is incorrect. Now, I'm saying to you that it's temperature. The only thing that we feel in nature is temperature. We feel when it's warm we're at a low level, and we feel cold when we go up.
Oh, that's
And that's
fascinating.
That's
Just wrong.
ridiculous.
You're just wrong.
Yeah, well, I won't get into,
It's
well, look, I'll
ridiculous.
tell
Do you
what,
know
I'll
how
tell you what.
how
I'll tell
pilots
you what
pop
then,
their
Art.
ears by
I'll tell you
putting
what then, Art.
pressure
If
in
that-
them
okay, fine.
themselves?
I'm not going to argue it. If you're going
Actual
to give
pressure,
me
you know,
your,
caused with the
Hold on.
lungs in the
give me
mouth
your-
and everything.
If you're-
Spurs, you're not letting anybody else speak while you just deny pressure. It's laughable.
He's just
Yeah,
rambling.
I'll accept it for the moment. I'll accept it
You're
for the moment. But
just-
when we think
Spurs.
about this,
Oh my!
you guys are telling people there is a pressure. They feel something that can be something that can be measured that we don't feel. So let's measure it then.
Jesus
measure it.
Christ.
Spurs, have you gone swimming
Finish.
before?
I can't even finish a sentence here.
Oh my God!
14.7 was created from 33 feet under sea level. Under the actual water is 14.7 psi. Now,
What?
when you have your device and you
No, it's
take
not.
from 14.7 back to sea level, it goes back to 0. Now, you explain to me how you're measuring the pressure in the atmosphere. Go.
Who are you parroting right now, Spurs? You seem you have this extra adrenaline.
Don't question
rush.
his
Who are you
motives.
parroting right now?
Yeah, I'm stepping away
Hold
from
on,
this-
stop. I'm not interested in his motives. I'm just interested in his argument and his question. His question revolves around us proving that pressure's real. It's ludicrous.
Of course it is.
Yeah,
Because
well, again, I'm not trying to go against anybody, but I'm about the
how
truth.
they get
Okay, and if
just
I'm hearing the
because-
word pressure,
Oh my
where's
God.
that force coming from? What's the cause of this pressure? And where can we demonstrate this pressure in nature?
Okay, that's
can
our
How do they get?
Spurs.
Spurs, how
That's
do they-
our argument. That's our argument. So when the fundies say, "Well, I can prove that the sky is a vacuum. Just go outside," well, we experience gas pressure. That's what
No,
we
we don't.
experience. So
No, we
you can
Don't.
Spurs.
This is
Spurs.
ridiculous, man.
You can deny it all you
You're
like.
psychotic.
Oh, I'm getting rumpused left and right. You can deny it all you like, but we know how gas behaves. It expands in all directions, unless it's got something to strike. Simple. It's logical. It makes perfect sense. Like a ball that you throw. If you throw it, it's just going to carry on, but for the fact that it's resisted by the air itself, it's going to carry on until it hits something, or it's going to lose its energy and drop. Well, in the case of a gas, it just carries on in all directions, unless it hits something. Now, when it hits something, you can quantify that hitting and how much or how many particles are hitting by pressure, by that mathematical quantification, that description of what's happening when a gas hits the walls of a container. Our argument being that based on Boyle's law and the second law of thermodynamics, you can't have gas pressure without a container. There must be something to press upon. Otherwise, in the case of the fundamentalist argument that the sky is a vacuum, you have nothing but a void for the gas, which wants to expand in all directions, to expand into. So that's our argument,
Nathan,
Spurs. Doesn't matter if you
Nathan.
deny pressure.
Nathan, you just
Again.
described how you can have gas pressure without a container.
Oh, really, Brenda?
You just did it.
Well then, parrot it back.
Yeah, you said that gas expands. The gas molecules are moving around in the atmosphere, right?
No, they're expanding in all directions until they hit
Yes.
something.
Until they hit something.
Yeah.
And when they hit something, they exert a force.
Okay, and what do they hit when they get to the vacuum of the sky, Brenda? What are they striking to come back down and
No.
retain pressure?
I'm not talking about the vacuum of the sky. I'm
I
talking
am.
about they hit something.
Well,
something,
I
like
am.
a
That's
tree.
exactly what this
Like-
debate's about. Space and the sky vacuum that
Like-
you fundies who believe you live on a sphere assert that there is. So I'm asking, given your description of what creates gas pressure, the striking of a wall, how does it strike a vacuum? It would disperse into
How
it,
they
Brenda.
strike I was talking about how you can have gas pressure without a container. They're wandering around expanding, and they hit a tree, and they exert a force on that tree. That's how you
I
can
know.
have gas
Yeah,
pressure
Brenda, I
without
understand.
a container.
Yeah, Brenda. Now I'm asking, when they get to the top of the sky, yeah, it's asserted by your side of the argument that it dissipates to zero. There's no longer any gas. Brenda,
so
haven't
I
finished.
take it
haven't
you're
quite
admitting I'm
finished.
correct
Haven't quite
then.
finished. Being global mute button, right? So I'm asking, at the top, not by a tree at ground level, at the top, where your fundamentalist belief in a sky vacuum starts, what do they strike there? Because as my understanding is that if you have got a vacuum, the gas is going to expand into it, not strike something and come back to create pressure.
Well, unless otherwise affected by a force.
Well, there is no force. Gravity is
Yeah,
not
there
a
is.
force,
It's
and
gravity.
even if
Yeah.
it was,
Yes, it
it
is.
does not overcome entropy.
Entropy has nothing to do with this. You don't understand.
This is entropy. This is what we're describing. The energy expanding in all directions. That is entropy. That's entropy increase.
What is the second law of thermodynamics, Nathan?
What we're
You don't know
describing
what it
is entropy increase. We're describing...
What is it?
We are describing a gas which is high energy dissipating to low energy. That is entropy. That is what we are describing.
That's not what entropy is.
I don't give a
You don't
shit.
understand
I'm
it.
asking you what's it striking on at the top by your fundy belief in a sky vacuum, and you're yet to answer. So don't rattle off a load of questions about the second law of thermodynamics to me. I understand implicitly that gas expands in all directions until it strikes the walls of a container. The striking of the wall of the container, I'm still talking. The striking of the wall of the container per inch of that container is what is quantified as pressure, gas pressure. The pressure it exerts on the walls of the container per square inch thereof. Now I'm asking you, at the top of your... I'm still talking. At the top of your fundamentalist belief in a sky vacuum, what is the gas striking? Because if it can't strike anything, and the only thing in its way is an ever-expanding infinite vacuum, it would carry on dispersing into it.
Yes, it would.
Excellent. So, sky is not a vacuum because we would not have gas pressure. There's nothing for it to strike. There would be no pressure. Without the container, there is no pressure. And if it's asserted, as it is, that the sky is a vacuum, as Brenda's just conceded, the gas would expand into the vacuum, ultimately debunking any notion whatsoever that the sky is a vacuum. It isn't. Entropy would take a hold, and the gas would fill the space.
It would expand into space.
Yes, we know. That's why the sky is not a vacuum. We understand this, Brenda. You've been very good recently. You're asserting all of the things we would like a fundy like you to assert. Yes, if the sky was a vacuum, the gas would fill the space. We know.
Yes.
Excellent. Right, let's move on. Let's do a bit of housekeeping. Who on the panel? Arwen's got his mic open, would like to start.
Any signs of Earth curvature?
No. Yesterday we had a guy who asserted that the second law of thermodynamics violation known as the sky vacuum was where they'd got some pictures of Earth curve from, but we smashed that into the middle of next week. I don't know if there's anything new. Anybody in
That's
Discord?
highly unlikely.
Yeah, I agree. Highly unlikely. Next. Maybe Arwen. How was your show, Arwen? Yeah, it was okay. Anybody else? Hopefully somebody else on the panel is going to ask a question.
Any signs of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Anybody? Anybody at all? Axial rotation?
Well, I wanted to complete.
Axial rotation. Anybody at all? Yeah, we're doing housekeeping. Any signs of axial rotation is 10th man's question. No. Moving on.
Any scientific evidence of the R value?
No, still just a presupposition. I'll ask one. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No, it's a light in the sky, and there's no way to measure it yet.
Right, couple more. Platzoids, do you want to ask one? Maybe about Earth's core.
3, 2, 1. Any evidence of self-perpetuating molten iron core at the center of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Come on, come on. Come on, there's got to be someone with something.
No, I don't think so.
I think Flatwood's having issues with his mic or something. He just came on and said he couldn't do much.
Oh, okay.
I'll ask the G question.
I think we've got one more left.
I think 2.
Two? Go ahead.
Yeah.
You go ahead. Take the fun.
Go ahead, Paul.
Any evidence of gas pressure without a container? I know we already talked about it, but I know that we didn't really ask the question.
No?
Sure. I just showed how Nathan himself admitted that gas pressure can exist without a container.
No, I did not.
Hold him.
Got a
Go ahead,
quote?
Brenda.
Well, there's evidence of gas pressure, but the container's the tricky one, isn't it?
No, there's nowhere in the formula for gas pressure does it mention a container at all.
But that's a formula.
Yeah.
I don't live in a formula.
Oh, that's a
I
good
didn't
one.
say
That's
you
good. I don't
did.
live in a formula either.
I know. But I said there's evidence of gas pressure, but there's no evidence of a container.
But there's no
I haven't
evidence.
seen any.
No evidence in the formula. What about Boyle's law then, Brenda? What's the V?
What?
What's the V in Boyle's law?
The formula for gas pressure is P equals F over A. Pressure is the
what's the
force
A?
divided by the area.
Area of what?
The surface
Of what?
of anything.
Of the container?
No.
Oh, so area doesn't refer to a surface of a container for the gas to bounce upon.
Right. It doesn't.
Oh, it doesn't. So what does area mean then, Brenda? Area of what?
Anything.
A tree? Is a tree giving you an
Anything.
increased gas pressure? Is it the tree? The area of the tree?
Yeah. Yes,
No.
the area on the tree trunk. Yes, it experiences pressure.
Oh, in that case, my ankles experiences pressure.
Yes. 14 pounds per square inch.
Oh, how do you measure that? How'd you get that measurement?
You get it with a suitable instrument. I don't know.
So in Boyle's
are
law,
there any trees where there's only gradient gas? Is there any trees up there where you have a gradient pressure?
I still
There's
haven't
no
got an
such thing
answer to
as
my
a
question.
gradient pressure. You're just
what's the
combining
V?
words that you heard into sentences.
Yeah, I want to know what the answer is. What's V? In Boyle's law, what's the V referring to?
I'm not talking about Boyle's law.
I am.
I'm just
I'm
talking
asking
about
you.
the formula
I'm asking
for
you.
pressure.
I'm asking you. We're talking about gas and Boyle's law, and I want to know what the V stands for. You said it's not in the maths. We've already had one example where we've got an area, a square inch value to measure. So what's V in Boyle's law?
It's the volume
Volume of what?
of the air.
Of the air? Or of the container?
Oh, it doesn't say anything about container. It just says volume.
Volume of what?
Just the volume.
Yeah, the volume of a gas that can expand in all directions until it strikes the area, the volume of the container.
Or man-made, Nathan.
Boyle's law.
All these
Boyle's law
containers,
has.
Brenda, a question.
whether it be a
So-
pressure
sorry.
tire.
So what's your problem, Spurs? What's the problem with it being man-made? What's the problem? What are you
we
talking
don't
about?
see in nature. We don't see in nature gas pressurized. Where
Yeah,
do
we
see
do.
it?
We breathe it.
Yes.
Yeah. What's the pressure then of the gas that we breathe?
What's the quantification mathematically? A number that we arbitrarily assign? Who cares?
No. How can we know there is a pressure unless we feel that pressure?
Sorry, Spurs. Again, back to your pressure denying. Who cares? Nobody's denying except you that we have gas pressure. We do. We have gas.
Wait, you're sounding like those who say there's gravity, but there's a force, but we can't feel it. So you're saying there's a pressure, we can't feel it, we can't measure
We
it,
can.
but there's one there.
Yeah, we
Yes, you
can.
can.
We can feel
Are
it. We
you
can
numb?
measure it.
Are you
What are you
like
talking about?
paralyzed or something? This is
Well,
ridiculous.
if we can, what do we say to the ball earthers who say what you're saying now? Prove it. Demonstrate that you can prove there is a pressure. Okay, Arwin, demonstrate to me there's gas pressure in nature. Not in a tire, not in a vacuum, not in a box, in nature. Go outside and show me the pressure, Arwin.
Okay, well,
Okay.
why don't you check out, for example, the roots of a tree? What's
Yeah,
going on in
what?
there? There's sap pressure in that.
I'm talking about atmospheric pressure, Arwin.
Yeah, that's
All
how
of you
the
flat
diet-
earthers sound like ball earthers arguing for a force, a magical force that is being
Atmospheric
applied
pressure.
with no cause, and we can't
Yeah,
calculate.
that's rather
feel
easy
it.
to do, Spurs.
No, what
That's
the
easy to do.
phenomena of gas
Look,
pressure
you
is
can
in
argue with
nature,
the
but
ball
you
earthers.
can't
What-
prove
Arwin,
it in nature.
Arwin,
You have to
ball
actually
earthers, Arwin.
isolate it in a
He won't let you talk,
to be able
Arwin.
to prove it. You
He'll
have
just
to
rumpus you.
isolate all the variables.
Arwin, come on, Arwin. The ball earthers have an excuse. They have gravity that
No,
causes this force.
gas
of
pressure is in nature, but you need man-made devices in order
No,
to
Arwin,
isolate
gas
the
is in nature.
independent variables.
No.
Arwin.
Stop. No, we're not isolating independent variables. We're not talking about science. We're talking about natural laws. Yeah, there's no isolating. It doesn't matter that your quantification is mathematical. We're talking about a description of something that occurs. Now, unless you're here to deny that we have gas pressure, this is a pointless argument.
How can I deny something or accept something that I've never witnessed, seen, felt, measured? What do you mean
No
deny?
worries.
What do you mean I'm denying exactly?
No worries. You can deny it all you like.
Breathing,
You're saying we
breathing.
can't
What
prove
am
gas
I
pressure
denying?
to
So
you.
hold on. So you're
You're
saying
completely desensitized.
Gosh,
Yeah,
one at a
whatever.
time. So you're
Whatever.
saying, Nathan,
Whatever.
Pressure
not
is a
interested.
basic thing.
Hold on,
Everyone
so
can
are-
feel.
are
If you
we-
have muscles, you can
It's
feel
not fair.
pressure.
I mean, again, we're
I
trying to
guess
find
that you
truth.
don't
What
have
are you
the
guys?
senses
What's
to
going on here?
measure
Spurs,
pressure,
Spurs.
to experience pressure.
Arwin, hold on a
means you're
second.
completely
Hold on.
numb.
Arwin, please, can you hold on? Spurs, I didn't hear a word of what Arwin just said. Just talking all over everybody when they respond to you.
I'm trying to respond to you, Nathan, and then Arwen's jumping in.
Yeah, and
You're
I've
saying,
already given you...
you're saying I'm
yeah,
a
because
pressure denier, and I'm saying what? The fact that I don't feel,
I've heard it.
measure,
Yeah, we've heard it 16 times, Spurs.
so what am I denying?
Yeah, so you're going to carry on babbling. That's my hint to say, I've heard it. Yeah? And when you're saying you're trying to talk to me, you continue talking indefinitely. So I can't get a word in edgeways, Spurs. So you don't want to talk to me, you want to talk at me.
No, I'm saying you're just going to assert pressure.
there he goes
and
again.
then accept it.
Yeah, I'm trying to explain that Arwin's trying to give you a response. I've given up. I've given up on account of the fact that you're simply denying that we have gas pressure. Okay? Well, okay, Spurs, fine. That is fundamentally a part of our existence. But if you want to deny it and say that I can't show you gas pressure, then fine. No worries, just deny it. I don't know of a single globehead that denies...
I do deny it.
There he goes again. I haven't
really
finished.
nice.
I haven't finished, Spurs. You could tell by the fact I was still fucking talking. Yeah? I don't know.
get angry
And there it
over
goes
gas
again. I
pressure. You
still...
believe there's a
Spurs, I'm
pressure,
going to
I
eject
don't.
you. Right? You're being intolerable. I'm in the middle of a sentence. I don't know any globeheads that deny that we have air pressure, atmospheric pressure, gas that creates pressure. Nobody denies this except you right now. So I'm done and don't want to continue the conversation, but I do want to actually hear Arwin speaking to you.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Because, yeah, Arwen, there is a bit of a shock. I understand. We've been
Oh
told.
my God. That preamble was so that Arwin could actually be heard.
Right. Okay, so Spurskimo, if you're actually claiming that you do not have the senses to feel pressure, including gas pressure, it's just pressure. Doesn't really matter whether it be gas or an object or liquid pressure. There's only one sense to sense pressure, and that's material pressure, including gas pressure. If you don't have the senses to sense that, that means that you literally can't feel your muscles tighten. You can't experience pressure. That means you're completely desensitized. I wonder how you're still alive. That's the case.
Okay, Owen, let's look
Even
at
a
this.
baby
Let's
can
look at, all right,
experience
Owen, let's not
pressure.
argue. Let's talk.
You know,
about
when a baby gets born, you better
Owen.
damn well know that it experienced pressure.
All right. I mean, I don't mind doing this on Jose's or Rantis, but I would like a flat earther to talk to about this understanding about pressure. So at sea level, Arwen, it's 14.7 psi. We take an object, we weigh it at 14. We weigh it, a 1 kilogram object at sea level. Right, it weighs 1 kilogram. Now, you would have us believe that if you were to go to Salton Sea, where it's 200 feet below sea level, that object should weigh more because of the pressure, higher pressure at a lower level. Right, Arwen?
Well, that depends on what the medium is
Now
going to
it
be out there.
depends.
Look, hold on. I'm going to respond to this in
Okay.
detail. Look, if you say you're going to go down to the bottom of the ocean somewhere.
No, I didn't
really
say that,
deep.
Arwen.
Hold on, I'm
Arwen.
not done yet.
For the
Stop
love of
changing my
God,
words and I said
Spurs!
the
Shut
Spurs!
up, I'm not
Spurs!
done yet.
Spurs, he hasn't finished!
We're not talking about water, we're talking about land. Just the land.
You were basically asking a question. I'm trying to explain it. Will you please shut up while I do? Okay, right. So you're going to measure the pressure of something at the bottom of the ocean. So now it all depends. Are you going to measure the pressure within the medium of the ocean itself when the entire ocean is going to be pressing? Or are you going to take a bubble of air within that water in which you are going to measure the weight, and that bubble is also going to be compressed because the ocean is pressing on that air? Or are you somehow going to have a giant tube connecting to the open air that's very strong, can maintain that pressure from the outside, and then allow the direct air tunnel? Now there's an interesting question. Is the pressure still going to be very high, and the weight, if there's a direct air connection, basically relieving the oceanic pressure at that point? I don't know. You would have to test it.
Right, so the reason why I interrupted you, because you've just gone on some mad tangent. I'm trying to be very specific, Arwen, specific. At 14.7 psi at sea level, you weigh an object at 1 kilogram. You stay on the land, but you go down 200 feet on sea level, on the land, not underwater, on the land. You go lower down in elevation. The pressure should increase, should it not, Arwen?
Well, the gas pressure is going to increase because there's more gas weighing on it.
Water. I'm talking about a 1 kilogram object on a scale. You take the scale down to the lower elevation where there is more pressure. That 1 kilogram should weigh more.
No.
But it doesn't.
No.
Does it?
No. Weight is relative.
So you're saying that the pressure is pushing on me?
Gravity.
Hold on a minute. So the weight,
the mass is constant,
so hold
but
on.
weight is a deduced process.
We're back to both of you talking over each other. Shout out to Earth is Seriously Flat. Globe lovers get destroyed on this amazing channel. Thank you very much for the super chat. Please, Spurs and Arwen, can you just go one at a time?
Right, Arwen, you're saying that I'm standing on this surface at sea level and I feel a pressure of 14.7. If I go lower than sea level, the pressure should increase. Yes or no, Arwen?
Yes.
Yes. So obviously, if I take a scale with an object that's at 14.7, I go lower, the pressure should be more. That means more weight, should be heavier. And
no.
So when I go up, Arwen, I'm not lighter. If I go up into a dense atmosphere, I'm not lighter. It's not lighter.
No, you shouldn't be. You should actually
shouldn't be lighter. You
should be experiencing, because your relative density is further away from its equilibrium point in relation to
let's take a balloon with air in it, Arwen. If the balloon goes up, what happens to the balloon?
It'll meet its equilibrium point within its relative density.
Spurs.
So nothing is expanding and contracting then?
Spurs.
That'll happen simultaneously.
Spurs, you keep asking him questions. What's your claim? What are you claiming?
Well, we're trying to prove this pressure. We're trying to prove that there's a measurable, we can feed it. There's actually something there that you guys are saying there's a pressure, but we can't measure it.
Well,
again, like gravity.
No, you're claiming you can't measure it and that you can't sense it because you're going nuts.
Brenda and Arwen, hold on. Brenda and Arwen, I just want to talk to Spurs for a minute.
They sound the same as us now.
All of you. Spurs, I'm trying to get you to stop talking, so that means that just you and I are talking over each other until you stop talking. So Spurs, why are you trying to prove that there is pressure for a gas? Why?
Because
What's the
flat
purpose?
earthers use the gradient as an argument when there is no pressure gradient, there is only a temperature gradient, and all this density and buoyancy argument to do with pressure is kind of messing the argument up.
Okay,
right?
let me just...
So
okay,
we
Spurs! Just need a concise claim and then you stop talking. So, your claim is there is no pressure gradient, your claim, and it's only temperature differentials. Now, can you provide some support for your claim, please?
That's what we feel. That's ask anybody. If you,
Spurs,
if you walk to the top of a mountain,
stop, Spurs. Don't make a reassertion of your declaration. We understand what your claim is. Don't appeal to consensus and say ask anybody. Just provide support for your claim, please.
You want me to provide support for when you go up a mountain if you feel cold or whether you feel hot? How can I support what you feel when you climb the mountain?
Spurs.
You will know if you were cold, if you were warm.
Spurs. No. Your claim is there is no gas pressure gradient, only temperature differentials. So can you support that claim, please?
With what?
With whatever you want to support your claim.
What are you talking about?
It's a claim.
Been told and
I'll answer you,
We've
Spurs.
been told there is a pressure in our atmosphere.
Spurs, I don't need you to reassert the same claim 15 more times. Now listen up. What I need you to now do is provide support for your claim. Not reassert it 5 more times, please.
I don't get the question then.
Please provide support for your claim that we do not experience pressure differentials, only temperature differentials. Your claim, please support it.
Again, how I understand this question. If we've been told a lie, like the Earth is spinning...
Don't need a question.
Yeah.
I need support for your claim. Don't ask me to support your claim. Just provide...
I don't get this question. Again, to me, it's the same as the spinning ball. We don't
need
spin.
an equivalence. Spurs, I'm gonna end this conversation right now. Right? I don't want endless incessant babble and comparison. I just want support for your claim that we don't experience temperature differentials. I'm not even going to get to the end of my sentence before Spurs interrupts me with yet another repetition of the same bloody claim. Shout out to Earth is seriously flat. Resistance is futile today. You're having a globe-abortion. Indeed.
There's no globers involved in this.
You're a glober.
I'm not debating with Spurs. You are.
Good morning, guys. How's everybody?
Yo, Choco.
Anybody can debate anybody. Just because we're both on the same side of this particular argument doesn't mean we agree. I know we've got gas pressure. Spurs seems to think we only have temperature differentials. So clearly we don't agree, and that's a subject for debate, Brenda. Just because it's flat on flat doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's easy to measure gas pressure.
I agree.
So, ball earthers and flat earthers agreement. How are you guys measuring the pressure, guys? Can you tell me how you're measuring the pressure in nature?
With a barometer.
With a barometer, okay. Nathan, you agree with the ball earther? That's how you measure pressure?
Suppose I've already said I'm done. Just have it out with Brenda if you want.
Arwin, do you agree with Brenda that you measure pressure with a barometer?
I agree that I think you're trying to pull some kind of weird social engineering ploy to bring flat earthers and ballers in agreement with one another. And I think it's very cheap.
Well, I'm trying to wake up
and dumb.
Arwin. I'm trying to wake everybody up. We've been lied to about pressure. Now, you know that pressure requires a force. Now, ball earthers have gravity as their cause of this pressure. Now, what do flat earthers have as their cause of this pressure?
Relative density disequilibrium.
Relative density is the cause
disequilibrium. Don't misquote me.
Well, can you demonstrate this, Arwin?
Oh, yeah.
Disequilibrium is not a force. Pressure requires a force.
No, it causes a force.
Oh, here we go. But now this is what I'm saying.
It is the force.
This is amazing. So you flat earthers and ball earthers will argue about something that cannot.
I only speak for myself. It's up to the others to confirm or deny
This
it.
is beautiful, isn't it? This is just what they wanted, right?
Oh yeah, sure, yeah. You know what
Stop
everybody wants.
arguing against me. Show me how you're measuring the pressure. Just go outside, take a device, and say, yeah, this is what the pressure is today.
Spurs.
Get a point.
So we're getting somewhere. Let's think about it. We feel temperature. You know when it's cold, you know when it's hot. The only pressure on your body is underwater. When you
No, that's bullshit. What do you think wind is? You
wind,
idiot.
where does wind come from? Arwin,
Pressure, from gas pressure. Doesn't matter actually where it comes from. It's just what it is. It's pressure. You can feel pressure. Ever felt a shock
I've got to do
wave?
it again. I've got to do it again because I can't understand what's being said. Just let Arwin get to the end. Hopefully Arwin will actually break when he's finished his statement.
Pressure. Gas pressure. You feel gas pressure all the time. Have you ever driven really fast with a car with an open roof? Yeah, you feel that freaking pressure. Okay? Doesn't matter what causes it. There is pressure. That's how you notice that air is actually a thing and not just a void. You feel
there's
it
a
pressing.
constant atmospheric pressure that you never feel, Arwin. 14 pounds per square inch is pressing on you at all times. You know, fortunately for you, the inside of your skin presses back with an equal amount, and so you don't get collapsed up into a little ball.
We're adapted to the pressure. That's right. But we do experience the actual gas pressing.
Brenda,
you don't experience it.
Hold on, Brenda. Sorry to interrupt you. Just Darwin and Brenda, please, Spurs. She's addressed him. Just let him have it out.
Our conversation, fine. You discuss something that doesn't exist. Go for it.
Hey, we know you deny
it
pressure.
Does exist. We can measure it.
We can experience it and we can measure it. So, at a point, please.
Inside of your body.
The measurement, Arwin, where's the curvature? Where's the measurement? Where's the pressure? Where's
your antipsychotic medication?
Where's the measurement? Where's his 14.7, Arwin? Where is it going?
Hello.
Yeah.
I've
been listening.
Where is it?
I kind of want to see where this is going with Spurs. I'll be honest with you.
So do I. I want to see his crazy belief in no pressure.
No, I actually think he might have a point. If we take a step back and we listen to him explain it from start to finish, without interrupting him, I think he might have something of interest here. I'm definitely interested in this.
But I've already asked him.
There's nothing of interest in here.
I've asked him to support his claim. Hey, the one. I've asked him to support his claim, and he's like, I don't understand what your question is. You're asking me to support what I've said. Shout out to the flatearthchannel.com. In the Bible, it says we have a firmament that to divide the water from the waters. So we are underwater technically. Don't know if I agree, but shout out to flatearthchannel.com. Thank you very much for the super chat.
That's interesting, although it doesn't say divide the water from the water and put gas in between, so we don't know exactly what it actually references, but it is fascinating.
Well, again, I know it's a bit of a shock, but all I'm saying is the ball earthers' argument is that there is pressure. We know we're not on a ball. We know there is no space. So we know there is no gravity, and we know there is no pressure. Now, the point is with the flat earthers, they're taking this argument of a gradient and pressure from where? Where did they get this from? Where have they measured? You can only measure pressure in a tire, in a can, something that is the word pressure is man-made. We created gas pressure.
I am not willing to feed into this psychosis.
You don't have to, Arwin.
Can I please kick him?
You don't have to, because again, people ask you, Arwin, demonstrate and prove that you can show there's a pressure.
I gave you examples and you ignored
Okay. Hold on, Arwin. Hold on. Arwin, at this point, you've got to the point I got to. You've offered him your explanations. He doesn't accept them. Brenda's trying to get into the conversation. I'd rather Brenda spoke to Spurs, to be perfectly honest. At the moment, she seems like the most calm and rational out of all of us.
Yeah, I can't believe he just said kicking though, Owen. I can't believe he said that because he just brought up a very relevant point. All the pressure that you're talking about, every kind of container that you've spoken about, whether it be tire pressure, deodorants, scuba diver tank, all that stuff, all the pressurized stuff you're talking about, which needs a container, is man-frigging-made. And what Spurs is saying is the atmosphere isn't man-made. So how can it have the same applications to it? Literally, how can it have the same applications applied to that? Because you're talking about two different things, natural and man-made.
Oh, is it about that? Well, I don't.
Well, no,
I don't ascribe to
that's
that
my
part
point.
about the man-made. That's John's thing. I can entertain it, but I don't fully agree with that.
Well, you apply
And
it when it comes to
to
gravity.
go into
Hang on, wait a minute.
discussion about it.
You apply it when it comes to gravity, and it's the first thing you come to. What took it out of disequilibrium? Well, you picked it up. Well, you picked it up, right? It was picked up off the ground. It took it out of equilibrium. Well, what caused it? Man-made caused it. Man-made, and natural. That's all we ever hear with gravity. When it comes to a container, and we're talking about containers having pressure, it's all man-made containers we're talking about.
Sorry, do you
and what
think
Spurs is discussing is do those laws apply to the gravity, to the pressure system in a global system? Does it apply? Because it's not man-made. It is a natural phenomenon.
Yeah, you've missed out on the actual point of this argument. So the argument in terms of gas pressure is to address the fundamentalist globehead claim that there's nothing for the gas to press upon. It's just a vacuum that it can expand into. Now, regardless of whether or not you believe in gas pressure, as ludicrous as that is, we know what gas does. It expands in all directions until it hits something. Now, you can describe that as whatever you like. I don't care what you label it. If you want to call gas pressure man-made, then fine. It's just simple physics. The gas expands in all directions. If it strikes something, you can quantify with a measurement how much the gas strikes that area per square inch, and that gives you a value arbitrarily constructed by man. It does not change what gas does. Expands in all directions until it hits something. If it doesn't hit something, it just carries on. And that's why we use this argument, to address the fact that they say there's nothing for it to hit up in the sky, but in fact an endless void for it to expand into. And we know gas expands. Now you want to say that...
How do you know that applies up there?
Nathan, how do you know it's like this? Again, you're talking about a container, what man pressurizes gas. In nature, we don't know what's going on. We don't know what the roof is like, if it absorbs the gases. We don't know what happens in this manner. You're saying that there's a roof, it bounces off the roof and goes back down. Well,
no, I didn't say that. I said that what is necessary and what is quantified for gas pressure in terms of a measurement is a container for it to bounce off of or press upon. That's where you get the quantification from. So it's a simple antecedent-consequent relationship. If you can't bounce off something, you've got no square inch to value to measure how much it's bouncing off of it. So in terms of what a gas does, expand in all directions, what's it going to do if the sky is a vacuum? Well, it would expand into it, debunking the assertion that the sky is a vacuum. Now, Spurs, I don't assert we have a dome. I don't assert that I know what the roof is, or that we have a roof, or anything in that regard. It would be foolish because I don't know. I don't understand, but what I do understand by simple demonstration is that in order to have pressure, you need something to press upon. That's it.
Nathan, answer me this, yeah? Tell me 5 containers with pressure that you can speak of. Because you're telling me that the gas needs a container to be pressurized, right? So list me 5 containers that hold gas pressure, please.
5. You got elephant. You got elephant lungs. You got human lungs, monkey lungs, mice lungs. That's 4. What else? Bird lungs. Will that do? Were they man-made?
No.
Oh right, not a problem then. Not man-made.
But it's were
they containers for gas?
No, that's not semantics. That's
semantic.
No, that's not semantic.
Was it a container?
You know where the
just getting talked over. Just getting talked over by Ranty. Ranty,
because ultimately,
why am I getting talked over, Ranty? I'm trying to be calm, and you're just rumpusing me.
Anything else?
Well, you're rumpusing the hell out of me while I'm trying to give my answer that you've just asked.
You've just said lungs because you just go into a position where you know it's sort of somewhat, natural and somewhat not. Yeah.
Sorry.
Because you wouldn't say something
aren't they
like you wouldn't
containers,
say something.
You won't answer
wouldn't
my
say
question.
something
You're just
like-
getting very angry.
You wouldn't say something like a deodorant can. You
No,
wouldn't say that.
no,
you know why you
Spurs-
wouldn't say that? Because then I would say that was
because you
man-made.
specifically
Arwen,
asked
Arwen,
him
he's
for
talking to
something
me.
in
Arwen, he's
nature,
talking to
so
me.
he gave you
Arwen.
something in nature.
Arwen,
I
he's
didn't
talking
have
to me.
something in nature.
Arwen, he was asking me. But it's just like unlistenable to the audience when three people talk to each other. So my question to you, Auntie, was: are they natural? Are they containers? Do they have gas inside them?
Explain how they're natural. Who built them?
Nobody. They're natural. My lungs
Who
weren't
built
built by anybody. They're
Who
natural.
built it? Came from who?
Oh, they're
Came
just
from
natural.
man. Came from your parents. So it came from
What
man.
about elephant lungs? Did they come? Were they made by
They
man?
came from their parents.
Yeah, not man then. Not man-made.
Well,
natural.
living. Came
Natural.
from living.
Yeah, natural.
Came from living. The atmosphere isn't living, Nathan.
So what?
So I'm asking you to tell me of a container that holds gas pressure.
Yeah, I did. Lungs. And you didn't like it for some reason.
Well, I didn't like it because you've obfuscated the point.
I haven't obfuscated any point.
That you want to, because this is the point, Nathan. You're never going to get anywhere if you act like this. You're acting like a child.
Let me get it straight. I get asked to describe 5 containers. I instantaneously give you 5 containers. I'm told that they're not satisfactory because they are natural.
What about tire pressure? How many times have you said tire pressure, Nathan?
Yeah.
On this debate.
How about again?
I'm not going to get to answer because Arwen's decided that Arwen's name is Nathan Ranty, so I'm not going to get to answer you. It's just going to be rumpusing that's unlistenable because of Arwen. Yeah, unfortunately, Ranty, earlier I was told that that wasn't acceptable because it wasn't natural, even though we're not describing science, we're describing natural law. But there we go. It seems that I'm not allowed to answer because Ranty's going to talk over me mid-sentence as well.
Because you said
I'm still in the middle of that sentence, Ranty. It seems that I'm not allowed to give an answer, that it's not satisfactory. 5 words are all I'm given by you and Arwen and everyone else. So, yeah, so I tell you what, I'll duck out, Ranty. Just tell me what you want to tell me and I won't respond ever.
Well, I'm going to say that you've at least said 10 times that tire pressure is a container. And I'm going to say that's man-made.
Okay, and in this particular discussion, I was told by Spurs, for some reason, that wasn't acceptable because it was man-made. So in this instance, when challenged to give containers, I've very intentionally used natural ones, so that there's no ambiguity that somehow using a tyre that's man-made to describe the effect of a gas which expands in all directions until it presses on the walls of a container, that's not satisfactory suddenly because a man's made it. Well, no worries. I can just come up with 5 that aren't man-made, that do exactly the same thing, that have exactly the same principles. So it's no concern to me. But apparently that's not acceptable, and I've obfuscated a point because I don't declare what the sky is. I don't claim to know what the sky is. I just undo the claim that... Ranty, am I not allowed to answer? I'm not allowed to give an expansive answer here, right, Ranty? It's you that said that, this isn't conducive, right? But it's you that's rumpusing me while I'm trying to answer you. So I'd just like to give an unimpeded, full response, which is to say that when I'm told that because I don't declare what the sky is, that somehow that's obfuscating the point, when what I'm actually attempting to do by describing gas expanding in all directions is give a description that debunks the assertion that the sky is a vacuum. I don't need to claim what gives us gas pressure. I make no claims about the sky. I'm very particular about not doing that for this very reason, because I don't know. What I do know is that it's not a vacuum because the gas would fill the space when it expands in all directions and has no container to bounce off.
Right, okay. So the reason that I think people instruct you is because you take about a minute to very carefully go through from start to finish what you're trying to say, whereas I will answer something or ask a question that takes 10 seconds. You will take a minute to respond. And it gets frustrating when we're listening to you go over the same stuff from start to finish like we haven't heard it before. So when I try to interrupt to say something, which is essentially something like, okay, the container that you've just listed, these natural containers, this lung and such, you can dissect them. You can take them out of the elephant, you can take them out of the dead corpse, and you can analyze that container. You can see what it's made of. You can touch it. You can feel it. You can blow it up. You can release it. You can do whatever you want. Put air pressure into it. Take it out. Right? That is what you can do. You can't do that to the atmosphere of the Earth. So that's what we're saying. And that's what I think Spurs is saying. And all this, okay, we need to hinge everything that all our debates on this one question about whether, you know, the astronauts can go up there, you know, is like, it's literally a house of cards ready to crumble if that argument falls. So I know what you're saying. On the Earth and the containers that you're discussing, we need containers. We need 4 walls or a complete circumference encompassing that air, right? But you cannot judge that with the natural air that we breathe, where it's going around the atmosphere, because it's a different type of atmosphere.
And you can't say it's pressurized, because that would entail somebody is pushing air into this enclosed system, okay, and pressurizing it, keeping it at a particular equilibrium.
Yeah, something is. Yeah, something is.
What is? That's a big claim there.
Just makes me blatantly aware that no one pays attention to anything that's said on the show. So we have cycles. Hydrogen cycle, hydrological cycle, carbon cycle, nitrogen cycle. What do you think they are?
Okay, so what's the pressure? What's the rate?
Sorry, you're not answering me. You're not answering me. What are they?
No, I agree with you. They're gases that are being pumped out.
They're gases. So something pumping gases into the system then, like you've just said we don't have.
But is it
sorry, Spurs, I'm still talking. See, Ranty, when I say something, it obliterates the nonsense assertions that people like Spurs say. Sometimes it takes more than 10 seconds. But in this instance, I've got quite a comprehensive answer that shits on his crappy assertion that we're not being blown up by gases when we absolutely are. They're being produced at ground level. It's the very reason. It's, you see, just too short, not concise enough when I'm describing the very physical nature of the production of gases at ground level. Because of course that's really simple. It only takes 4 words. My God, you all that impatient that you want to declare that we don't get blown up by gases when we do, Spurs? Yeah, we do. Yeah, we've got cycles. The gases are produced at ground level. That's why we have a gradient.
Yeah, so we have pressure. We have gas, but is that gas pressurized? That's the key. But what's the pressure then?
Paul can answer that because he had it on
Going around in circles. Going around in circles with him asking me what it is. It's the force that it presses on a wall. PSI, pounds per square inch, of any instance where we have pressure. It's called an antecedent. The necessary antecedent for gas pressure is the walls to press upon. That's where you get the measurement. You see, it just doesn't seem to matter. It doesn't seem to matter how concisely I want to say something. I'm gonna get interrupted. Yeah? So the PSI bit, the bit we start with, Spurs, the quantification is the container that you're going to be getting the I value from. The per square inch of the container it presses on.
I'm going to disagree with something he said. He's gone actually now. He's gone.
Jesus. Paul had it on the screen. I came specifically about that, and then I saw Paul sharing it on the screen.
Alright, we're going to round out for a break anyway, so with that I will say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who have tuned in live on the Nathan Oakley 1980 premiering stream for smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum, which you should definitely join. A massive thank you to all of today's live panel for making this debate possible. I've been Nathan Oakley. Stay tuned if you're watching on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!